Ladies and gentlemen, from the Microsoft Theater here in downtown Los Angeles, brought to you by Shawn Porter Promotions.
What's up, everybody?
A little bit. There we go. Perfect.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PorterWay Podcast. None of this will be edited out. I love being who I am and doing what I do, and I think that that's something that you guys really like about the PorterWay Podcast, hence why it's called the PorterWay. Just the way we do things. You know, we want to be authentic. We want to be real. We want to be, transparent. The list goes on. All that being said, right now, we're in the house. No special effects for this one. No intro. None of that good stuff. We just going to go in and rock out, and probably go at it for maybe a good 30 minutes or so. And really wanted to just make sure that we recap the fights that happened over the weekend. I think there was one pretty big surprise in the fight world over the weekend. And then the other fight was just, I could tell you're just excited.
Oh, yeah.
Because you know the young man.
Angelo Leo, yeah.
And, so you're a little excited about that. I ain't mad at it. With that being said, a couple of things before we get going. Want you guys to take a look back. I had the team in, the Porter team in for the podcast. Take a look at that one. A little bit of a bonus episode as well as an official episode for the PorterWay Podcast. Also, the PorterWay.com. That's where all of our merchandise is at. Go on and cop that.
You got the mug, okay?
Yes, sir. And I got something in it. I got something in it as well. Some tea. Because I know y'all. Yeah. We'll see,
got drank in the cup.
And also, we just launched SeanPSuits.com. So go on over there and check out my official website. We launched that 2 weeks ago now. All that being said, got that all out the way. The Patreon is still up. TPWP. Download the app. All that good stuff. Boom. Let's get to it.
Let's get to the fights.
You really like the kid, Angelo Leo.
Angelo Leo, man. Yeah. Fought an amazing performance. Right away off the bat, I want to say that Angelo Leo produced my favorite performance. It's a tie. What he was able to do over the weekend, knocking out Brenagh Lopez, is the knockout of the year, in my opinion. Him and what Raymond Ford did against Klomatov earlier this year on ESPN. And the reason, Sean, those two fights were my favorite is they didn't need the glitz and glamour, didn't need a million pay-per-view buys, a sold-out arena.
Yeah.
They were just there was something pure about the essence of those two young men's performance.
I see where you're going.
Two hungry guys who just wanted to leave the arena that night champion and would do any and everything in their power to do so. And I thought sometimes that's what the sport's all about.
And I'm glad that you kept it right there. And I want to piggyback off of that and say that we're not knocking pay-per-view. We're not knocking, the big shows, the big events. I personally love them. Was
Me
just
too.
a part of the big thing out there in LA, Riyadh season. That was amazing to me, especially the way that we did things. It was great, but you're right. Raymond Ford and Angelo Leo, they showed us that you don't need all that to have a great night of boxing.
Exactly.
And you don't, as a fighter, I don't need all that to perform like I'm on that show.
Exactly.
So I really, if anything, I just want to keep reminding y'all, like, some of the best fights are on the undercard. You know what I mean?
Sometimes having just two hungry guys in their prime fighting for the championship of the world is enough. And I'm totally with you. I mean, we all live for the big spectacle nights, and absolutely that's where Raymond Ford and Angelo Leo want to compete at. Sure. They don't want to fight on that level their whole career, but there's just something so pure about the essence of what those two young guys did, the fire they walked through to get to their goal. Raymond won his first title, Angelo won his second title, but this feels a lot bigger for Angelo. He fought a late replacement, Tremaine Williams. He was supposed to fight Stephen Fulton for his first title. Yeah. Had to fight in the bubble, so didn't get to fight in front of people. This was in front of his hometown. He was a 4-1 underdog. And I think it was one of the best performances of 2024 and the knockout of the year.
I didn't realize he was an underdog in this one.
He was about 4 or 5-1.
Well, take us through the fight. I mean, I think, you take it through it how you want to, but I could tell that the kid got a soft spot.
Absolutely. As you did too. So, I think he fought the perfect fight, and he had to fight the perfect fight because when Brenagh Lopez had his spurts, like in the 8th round and the 5th round, he would just have moments and Leo's face would bust up because of the power gap. The gap in explosiveness. So he had to fight the perfect kind of fight, because if too many of those moments came Venado's way, it couldn't have went his way. It couldn't have went Leo's way. And the spirit he fought with, I kept saying when we were rewatching the fight, I'm like, it's like he had this old school moxie, this put your hands up, chump. I'm coming after you all night.
Yeah.
He would hurt him with a right hand early in the fight, follow up on it as if to say, that's not a fluke. That's all day. That's all night.
Yeah.
Anytime he got hit, he had an answer.
Yeah.
He had an answer.
Yeah.
He used his jab, tripled it up, doubled it up when he needed to. He got in his chest when he needed to. He did whatever he had to do, round by round, to walk out of there with the title.
I like the way he was sliding out. I like the way he used his feet. And it was like I said to you, he just showed that he was a little more versatile than Lopez. And I think between his ability to punch with both hands and of course, use his feet. Lopez, and I told you this too, I've never turned on the TV and seen Bernardo Lopez and then do just that right there. Like, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen now? I mean, this guy literally just walks up to you. He swings. Sometimes he misses, turns into 360, and then he finds you and he comes right back at you, you know? So I knew if anything, it was going to be a fun fight. And I thought that as well. If Angelo has good feet, he should be able to get past this guy. I obviously did that in fantastic form. But before you get to the knockout, the only thing I would say he needs to brush up on is his defense. There were moments where he was getting caught with clean right hands, clean shots. I think he was able to offset losing. He lost some rounds. I didn't have this fight as close as TV had it, but I did have him lose some rounds. But I felt like he was able to offset that with this combination punching and his ability to come right back after the times he did get hit. But a couple shots, I mean, quite a few times he got hit too clean. And I think that he needs to be just a little bit more aware, whether it's him coming in or after he finishes his combinations.
Given his talent level, his ability level, because when you talk about improving defense, you can't expect him to do Floyd Mayweather, Shakur Stevenson defensive moves. So realistically, given what he's capable of, what could he do defensively better?
Well,
and I want to ask the same about Vergil Ortiz when we get to that fight too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've been saying this for a long time, the Achilles heel of really good amateurs, when they turn pro, they have the tendency to come straight back, or they have the tendency to do what we all call admiring your work. And so for Angelo, I think he showed good feet, but if he wasn't using them, then they weren't in play. And what I mean by that is punch, and use your feet. You know what I mean? There were moments where he was sliding. And then when I sit here and punch, I got to get back to the slide, you know? So he needs to be a little bit quicker with the defense, with the escape route, offense, the escape route. And then the other thing too is if you right there in line, start rolling. You know what I mean?
He tried that at times, and got caught on the top of the head. My dad never taught me how to roll punches, and it was something that we were like kind of trying to pick up when we turned pro. We were like, it was something that we weren't. My dad, I don't know if he just didn't know it, but he didn't show me how to roll punches. Right,
and so we kind of abandoned that whole thing of let's roll these shots and let's just straight slip them. Let's see them coming and slip them as they're coming. You know what I mean? And my dad's thing was, you see the punch, slip it. You know what I mean? And it's like sometimes you're a little bit too late. And that's where it becomes this thing of you also learning how to just roll off of the shots. Something that I never really truly learned how to do.
Right.
And so I would tell Leo, like, start learning how to actually slip and roll off of the shots and completely make a miss, opposed to just
catch,
trying to
catch. Because he did catch and shoot well.
Yeah.
But you're saying, you know, catch and shoot's nice, but sometimes make a miss clean.
Make a miss clean.
Right.
You know, because there were moments where Lopez came 1-2 and you made him miss the first one, but then you get caught on the back end, you know. So
the big question for him now is,
we'll tell you, we gotta go through the knockout.
You
saying this not no. You go ahead. You said you want saying this knockout of the year.
Well,
but you analyze like kind of
the way Bernardo felt. So what I thought was unique about this knockout, and if once he does hit the canvas, of course that weight is there. But what was interesting to me is the way he fell at free fall speed, but there was a lightness to his body, where usually when a guy gets one punch KO'd like that, is boom, and you feel that weight hit the canvas. And sure enough, you know, his body did reverberate once he hit the canvas, but before he hit that canvas, it was like a feather falling at free fall speed. And it was almost like with all the body work, Angelo had beat the stuffing out of him. And there was nothing left in that body to absorb.
He got hit, but also a fall of exhaustion.
Yes.
Yeah, is that what you're trying to
say? Yeah.
A fall of exhaustion.
Yes.
Because when he went down, he's blinking, he's coherent.
Right.
And it's like usually, or he, not usually, but he just didn't show signs of being actually knocked out. He showed signs of being coherent. Maybe he might get up, but he didn't even attempt to get up.
His body said no.
It's just exhaustion.
I'm done. Bro.
Yeah.
And in between rounds, before he gets knocked out, he takes the water bottle and puts it on himself. Something about watching that, I said he may already be out because we've heard fighters say, I don't even remember the last couple rounds. I don't even remember the round I got knocked out in. Yeah. I kind of suspect that's what happened to Venado.
Yeah.
That he got hurt bad with 2 right hands. He has such a good poker face. And he was, I'm cursing Spanish. He was kind of treating Angelo Leo like, pinche chihuahua, like this little irritant. And I think even all the way up until he got knocked out, he didn't fathom that kid, that little 122 pounder could do that to him. And
he might have been down there like, damn,
like what just happened? Really? Really?
And
so, and Venado looked a little off. I heard the weight cut was tough.
Yeah.
He kept talking about an early knockout, thinking ahead to Inoue, thinking ahead to unifications. He might have underestimated Leo a little bit in his hometown. It was the perfect storm for Angelo to do that.
Yeah. Perfect storm. And I've liked the kid before he even fought Fulton, and I've been wanting to see more of him since that fight. I felt like that was really good against really good, and Fulton had a better night than Leo did. Angelo Leo did. But I always felt like that was a really good fight. Both these guys are on the same level.
Especially early in that fight.
Yeah.
Before Fulton started to pull away.
Yeah.
Fulton outboxed him.
Yeah. So if anything, man, I'm happy to see him back on this level. And you said that he signed a 3-year?
I believe a 3-fight deal with Top Rank.
3-fight
deal. And, the right was on Top Rank, I think. Was pleased with him winning this fight. Aram told him before the fight, you have the legacy of Johnny Tapia here in New Mexico to uphold. They put the fight in the kid's backyard. If they really wanted the kid to lose, would they have done that? Top Rank, that was a really good performance. Now he's in the mix. Him and Rafael Espinoza, that tall featherweight champion.
That is 126.
Carrington is lined up for Espinoza, though. He's Espinoza's mandatory. And Nick Ball and Angelo Leo would be a great fight.
Fights at 126.
126 is hot now.
Man, I'm gonna go on record and then we can move on. If we were to make a Nick Ball and Angelo Leo fight, that's a great fight.
Great fight.
If nobody gets knocked out, I got a feeling we're gonna see 12 great rounds of boxing.
Yeah.
No reason for a loser. Unless it's a one-sided fight. I just don't see that fight
happening. Yes.
I don't see any reason neither of them should go so far down the ladder that they don't end up in a title fight and another fight or two after losing that fight.
Right,
you know what I mean?
right.
I think that's boxing's great, and I think when you put great up against great, you gotta allow the greatness to just continue.
Right.
You can't tell a guy like you were great until you lost to that guy. Well, no, I was great losing to that guy. And it's like, no, pay that kid and keep allowing him to do his thing and live his dream. It takes a long time to get there, man.
Well, case in point, the guy he beat to get his belt, Nick Ball, Ray Ford, I'm still very high on Ray Ford.
Yeah.
I still think Raymond Ford's going to be a champ. I definitely think he's going to win a title again. He had a little bit of hard time boiling down to 26. He wanted that payday.
And that was a tough night
that
for
payday,
him. Sure.
And some people still thought Ray won that fight.
Yeah.
But as far as Nick Ball and Angelo goes, I'll give the edge to Angelo. No, not because I have a soft spot for him, but because, like you said, with Venado, he can do more things.
Yeah.
Nick Ball can do one thing, a little bit like we saw with Isaac Cruz and Rayo Valenzuela. So
more polished though. He's more polished than Pitbull. Moving on to.
Oh, wait a minute. What about does Angelo have a shot against Inoue? You can keep it real.
We were watching the fight, and I said, what he's doing right now, these are the things you got to do against someone like Naoya Inoue. You got to be able to mix it up and do multiple things and not allow Inoue to pick up on your rhythm. And I said, while we argue who's the true number one, Terrence Crawford or Naoya Inoue, and I'm going to beat y'all to it because I know y'all not arguing that right now based on Terrence's last performance. You got to understand styles make fights. It kind of is what it is. But before that fight, we were arguing who's number one. And even, of course, we're talking about Alexander Usyk as well.
Three. Those are the top three.
Absolutely. Yeah. But when it comes to Naoya and Terrence, they are very similar in terms of their ability to read their opponents, find the timing of their opponents, and find those moments where they can slip something in there and catch them off guard. You know what I mean? And so I think how you keep those guys off balance is really what Madrimov did. He just didn't have enough effective offense, in my personal opinion. But he kept Terrence off balance by continuing to feint, continue to keep this hand busy, continue. And that's how he just never allowed Terrence to truly find him, you know? And so I think if Angelo, a lot like Madrimov, I'm not saying you got to go out there like this, but
and fight Ukrainian style or Eastern European style.
Find some different modes that you can be in throughout the course of a fight with Naoya, and he'll find himself actually in the fight because he's got good hand speed. He's got some power. We just saw that. Of course, Venado was a little worn down near the end of that fight, but he's got pop. And he's got speed, and he's got some heart. You know?
Yes,
and he can think too.
Well, you got to favor Inoue basically over anybody he fights right now. He's shown us that. He's the most, arguably, along with Boots, the most athletic fighter in the game right now. You know,
see that?
And Tank, and Canelo's still really explosive, and Crawford's really explosive. Those guys are into their mid-30s now, super explosive. But I think Inoue, Tank, and Boots are kind of at the cream of the crop of athleticism and explosiveness.
Yeah.
So, but here's the thing, and, you know, love Angelo, I'd have to favor Inoue. But Inoue is much better than Venado Lopez, but has this similarity to him, has a few of the same flaws. They run red lights. Yeah. Because they got all the speed, you know, they run red lights, and that chin stays up.
Yeah.
And so Angelo showed the huevos to I feel the power, and it's not, and I'm still going to do what I got to do with the counter punching. And you saw Neri catch Inoue with that chin up.
Yeah.
Angelo might be able to do the same thing, but you got to favor Inoue because he's just this incredible package of explosiveness, skill. He could do it all. But part of me does think a little bit like Venado. Look, Inoue is one of the great fighters I've seen, maybe the best ever at 118 around that division. But he, like Venado, may suffer a knockout like that one day because a lot of what makes him special is that athleticism. And when you start to just lose it millisecond by millisecond, you might get caught with that chin up one day. Not sure if Angelo will be the one to do it, but
I'm not talking about Naoya Inoue getting knocked out. He is.
Yes, I know. I'm
on record for saying that. Let's move over to the zone real quick. I had a couple of fights on there. I just wanted to kind of give an honorable mention to. If y'all can't tell, we at my house.
Yes.
It's like 9:30 at night. The kids need to get to bed. You on the other side of town. We're going to try to get through this as quick as possible. But I wanted to kind of give you guys, like I said before, what you guys are used to seeing on the podcast, what you expect from the podcast. It's almost football season. So get ready. We're going to start doing some other things as well. So I've been kind of splashing some stuff at y'all. Hope y'all okay with it, and get ready and bear with it, man. It's at the least, y'all know it's gonna be fun. Y'all know it's gonna be it's gonna be innovative. It's gonna be interesting, and we're gonna educate.
Gotta talk a little Browns, 49ers, and Raiders. Since we're in Vegas. And I cover the Raiders. I got the beat on that.
I will be at Raiders Browns this year. I've been waiting on this since the Raiders came out here. All that being said, though, I think the first we wanted to talk about just the Sweet Poison. We wanted to give a little salute to Sweet Poison. She I like Gabriella Sweet Poison.
You showing her to our wives saying, watch this girl. She's bad.
Yeah. I like everything about her. You could talk about her stance and her approach. She's extremely sturdy. The thing that I really notice is that she has accuracy and her punches don't wail. She's strong from the moment it leaves to the moment it comes back. That's something that you don't see often in women's boxing. So I really like that about her. And obviously, you can't ignore her stature. I mean, she's a giant.
Yeah.
Every time she gets in the ring. And I think she's going to be outmatching girls for a very long time.
Yeah, and just a class act. Like, I think she's got that marketability. Fierce in the ring, gentlewoman outside of the ring.
Yeah.
And loved her. They both, Fundoras, Sebastian and Gabriella, I love their uppercut. But hers, she targets to the body a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to see a lot of southpaw uppercuts to the body. Mm-hmm. And she landed that shot, I mean, like textbook, right under the elbow over and over and over again.
Yeah.
She's got a really bright future. She even though she's 5'8", she says she could get down to 108. She said she could fight. But she said she could fight Estrada. That's not her calling her. It's, me asking her about it and her going, but that's a fight that could make some money in women's boxing. Yeah. Senicia, undisputed at 105, meeting Gabriella.
Hard fight for Senicia.
This girl's got more than half a foot on her.
Yeah.
No, I'm not trying to throw Senicia to the wolves, but they're two names. And there's, so.
And that's how it's done in women's boxing. There's always somebody coming up or somebody coming down.
To
make the big fight. Yep. So that all makes sense. We move on and we got Kenny Sims ended his guy. I think that was 2 rounds.
No, that was Conwell.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Kenny, I think, went 6 rounds. 5 or 6.
Yeah.
The guy didn't come off his stool.
Yeah. So, but the thing I wanted to say about Kenny, then we can move on. I mentioned this to you. When you aren't a natural puncher, that hasn't been your style through the course of your career, amateur and pro, and like you said, he's starting to step to guys because he feels like they're not going to give it to me. So I got to go in there and show that I'm going to take it. But the thing that I noticed is the trajectory on his shots. Some of those shots are slapping shots. And I'm seeing that they're slapping shots. You're in this posture to be powerful, but that's not your nature. You know what I mean? So something I think he needs to learn to do a little bit more is turn over the shots. And don't get too complacent in that style. Because eventually, once you get there, you're going to have guys that are just as fast and just as strong. And now it's going to have to be that offense-defense game.
We talked about that after the fight. And I asked him, I said, you're fighting with a lot of urgency and hunger right now. You want to get stoppages. You want to be entertaining so that they can't duck you. They can't take away an opportunity at a title fight. He's the #1 contender for Rayo Valenzuela. But I asked him, once you secure the bag and get the title shot, will you go back to some of the back foot game? And he said, absolutely.
Got to.
That's what he said.
That's who he is.
Yeah.
You can't lose your identity. You can add to your identity, but you can't lose your identity. I don't see that happening. He's super smart. Kid. Like we had him on the podcast. He loves this thing and he really, like, to your point, he's trying to take it now. And I want to salute Kenny Sims because it's not a lot of fighters that understand I got to step up. The promoter ain't going to do it for me. The manager ain't going to do it for me. A lot of fighters are like, they just, hands in the
I'm getting the job done. I'm winning fights.
Just waiting on it.
Yeah.
He's like, ain't nobody going to do it for me. I got to do it myself, So come on back onto the show, Kenny. I really want to get Kenny and Angelo on the podcast.
And Charles.
Let's move on. Gotta get Charles back on the show. I gotta get him back on the show. He ended his guy in 2 rounds. Beautiful body shot. We can't fluff it up. He's in the ring with somebody we didn't know. He did exactly what he was supposed to do, but you still gotta, the thing that I want to recognize or salute, acknowledge when it comes to Charles Conwell is he fought like this dude was a world champion.
Yeah.
He didn't take it any.
Similar to Kenny. He knows nothing's going to get handed to him. I got to go in there with a certain level of urgency.
Yeah.
Because the game doesn't really want to give me a shot. Yeah.
This is what I went into the back room after Boots fought when I was in Philly. Went back to the back room just to say what's up, dap him up, all that good stuff. And I said, Dad, how many more times we getting back in the ring? Please tell me at least once. He said, shoot, we get back in the ring 3 times, 4 times if we can.
Right.
I said, all right. I said, listen, Dad, he not gonna get the big names. That's not gonna happen.
Right.
But as long as he's getting in the ring, doing what he's supposed to do, people are gonna flock to him because they'll see the talent, they'll see what he has. And I told him, I said, that's all Tank doing.
That's what Triple G did back in the day.
Tank is just being consistent. Triple G just being consistent. And every time I get in the ring, I do exactly what I'm supposed to do. Kenny Sims, Charles Conwell, beg your promoters to get you back in the ring. Conwell, we should definitely see him at least twice more this year.
Yeah, why not? Especially at this level of opposition where
that fight went 2 rounds. You should stay in camp. You take a week off, recharge, all that kind of stuff, and then come right back to it and get back in the ring in another 2 months. You know what I mean?
Definitely get at least one more in.
He fought
on the Ryan and Devin card
in
April. So that's 2 fights in 4 months.
Yeah.
He definitely has to fight one more time before the end of the year.
Gotta fight one more time. I want to see him. I want to see him twice.
I'm going to call this right now. Like he's good in the pocket and he's sharp and all that, but this is more of a gut feeling about his temperament. He's going to upset somebody in the 154-pound division. I don't know who. Could be Tim Tszyu. Could be Virgil Ortiz. Even though on tape, Virgil is coming up from 47, he's bigger than Charles. Charles's style, you could maybe analyze, is actually going to run into a buzzsaw with Virgil. But something in me says he's really hungry. He's really well schooled from the Olympics. And I just got a feeling if one of these big names gives him an opportunity, he's going to F around and pull off an upset.
2016 Olympian, right?
Yeah.
If y'all don't know about Charles Conwell, 2016 Olympian,
Cleveland,
Ohio. he did everything you could do as an amateur. I believe he won the U.S. championships 3 times in a row. I could be wrong about that. But just so y'all know, like, and especially back in the day,
he can go.
You had to win a state and a region just to get to the nationals. And when you got to the nationals, you fighting 5 times or five times in 6 days, and you going up against some legit. Especially as you get to that semi and that quarter, that semi in the finals, anybody could win that. So for him to come back, there's plenty of other guys who have done it. Shakur did that quite a few times. There's quite a few names that have done that, but the reason why I'm taking a moment to point him out, one of the few guys that just when he turned pro didn't have the right guidance and things didn't really go the way that they were supposed to go.
Right.
Usually when you turn pro in 2016 after the Olympic Games,
you'd have gotten a shot by now while being undefeated.
You would have got a shot right now by being undefeated. So main thing for him is he gets busy. Main thing for y'all is that y'all ready to watch him when he gets back in the ring.
Yeah.
The dude can go.
Don't sleep on him.
And he all about power. You know what I mean? So he gonna give you what you want. It's just a matter of time before they give him what he needs.
Mm-hmm.
All that being said, man, let's move on
to
the main event.
Virgil Ortiz. I call it the fight of the year. I got mine too. You weren't the only one taking notes. Show me up now.
Give my notes. Listen, man, this was a hard fight to score.
It was. It really was.
I thought that this fight was a wash. I'm not on a Virgil Ortiz train.
Yeah.
But I saw Serhii Bohachuk when he got knocked out fighting Brandon Adams.
Yes.
In Puerto Rico.
Who used to spar a lot.
Yeah.
Brandon Adams.
And that was not just a flash knockout or nothing like that.
No, he caught him.
Some serious stuff. I saw Serhii, I believe, at the gym or something like that. After that, sometime later, it was months and months beyond that. And I said, man, I don't know if this kid can come back from something like that. As we can see, he's done that. But I'm still holding on to that Puerto Rico moment. I'm like, it's only a matter of time before you get into the ring again with somebody legit like Brandon Adams. Shout out to Brandon Adams. Check him out on OTX. He's in their tournament series, and I believe the semis are coming up soon. So make sure you guys are looking out for OTX on the
Brandon's
zone.
A little bit like you too, in that it'd be great if he could get to 54 because he's a little bit of a tweener. He's short, but his body is so built that it really wants to fight at 60 because of the weight he carries.
Yeah.
But if he could get to 54, he's a player in like one of the most bloated divisions in the sport right now. So anyway, just a side note about BA.
And again, shout him out. But to that point, I just felt like Ortiz is going to be the guy to do it again.
Yeah.
And I had no concerns about this fight because I was at the Hall of Fame. I'm like, well, I know what that was going to be anyway.
Right.
The next day, I went to church, came from church, went and got donuts. And I don't think if I hadn't had this conversation, I would never have looked into this fight. Guy comes in, says, what's up? Can we take a picture? Yo, who you think really won that fight last night? I said, what?
Oh, it's one of those?
Yeah, he said, who you think really won that fight? I said, you talking about the Ortiz fight? He said, yeah. I said, What happened?
Right.
He said, man, he got dropped twice. I said, what? He got dropped twice? Let's get into this, big dog. What happened?
Well, Bohachuk surprised me with his. It shows why boxing really has weight classes for a reason. Brandon Adams at 60 and even 54 isn't considered a puncher.
Mm-hmm.
Virgil Ortiz had all 21 wins by knockout,
mm-hmm.
and he can punch. He throws nothing but heat.
Yeah,
but this was his first time fighting someone a little bigger than him.
Mm-hmm.
What surprised me was Bohachuk was able to hold up, especially to the body. Virgil, I was there live, and then I rewatched it with Sean just now. He withstood so many left hooks to the body.
Yeah.
And I was surprised he held up to it. And then once he kind of weathered the storm, even though he got the knockdown in round 1, he started off up 2 points. But really the first half of that fight, some of those rounds were kind of dominated by Ortiz at time.
Mm-hmm.
But he withstood it. And then he got his own action going, dropped him again in the 8th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, it was surprising. That's all I guess. I'm still a little, mulling it over.
I don't know. I think Serhii is just obviously resilient.
Yeah.
But beyond being resilient, he's extremely
durable. And I think Ortiz may have gave him just a little extra edge.
Yeah.
By not shaking the hand.
Yeah.
The team's getting into it.
Yeah.
Not to say, otherwise he would have won the fight by knockout. But, this game of inches, a sport of...
That stuff's real.
Yes.
I want to go on record for saying that stuff's real. You can give your opponent a feeling that I can do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or now I gotta do this. You know what I mean? So,
I saw that with Caleb playing against Benavidez. He wouldn't allow himself to succumb.
Mm-hmm.
We talk too much. There's too much pride on the line.
Yeah.
If I got to hold on to one arm for dear life, and I just can't get knocked out. Yeah.
So, all that being said, though, I felt like
the scorecard.
Well, I felt like Bohachuk was consistent through the entire fight. Even in moments where he lost rounds, he still was consistent. The one thing I wanted to see him do was push Virgil back, get Virgil on his back foot, make this an actual firefight. I don't think he ever truly got Virgil's respect.
I think that's part of why Virgil got the decision. Is in addition to the crowd being on his side, where even if he's not landing clean. Like there was a cuffing left hand he landed in the 11th round. Crowd went crazy.
Yeah.
It was more of a Bohachuk off balance.
Yeah.
But the fact that Virgil was the aggressor most of the fight, that, when it's real close, the judges are going to sometimes edge it to that. And the fact that he has more speed and snap on his shots. Mm-hmm. So you hear the, just, little things like that can
It's the body language.
It's the body language.
It's the body language,
Yeah.
It's like, it's one of those things where as a judge, you can't turn off who's getting in the ring. You know who's getting in the ring. And when you're sitting around the ring to judge that fight, you're excited about who's about to do it. This is going to be in the history books for them. This is in your personal history book as well.
Right.
And so those are sort of some of the things that just come to us. Those are the things that we can't turn off being human. And so when you get one guy that that this thing is built around and he's aesthetically, that body language
taking
looks
the
like
fight to
he's ripping and all that.
Ripping.
There were so many close rounds. I had 3 rounds that I just I put. So when I don't know, I said, I don't know who won this round. I put a little dash there because I feel like this fight, that round.
Swing rounds, they call them.
That literally is the epitome of a swing round.
Yeah.
I had 3 of them.
So did I.
In a 12-round fight.
I had round 6, round 7, and I thought even round 9, I had close. Even round 12, which I gave to Ortiz because he was consistent.
Mm-hmm.
But Bohachuk landed 4 or 5 hard right. He actually probably landed the best punches of the 12th round.
Mm-hmm.
But Ortiz for all 3 minutes was consistent. Round 10 and round 7, I edged to Ortiz. And either one of those rounds, I could have easily, especially 10, I could have easily given it to Bohachuk. So I wound up with 114, 112 Ortiz. I could have easily had 114, 112 Bohachuk, and that was your card, right?
Yeah. You said you had round 6 as a swing round.
Yes.
I had round 7 as a swing round.
Yep.
You said you had round 10 as round 9.
I had 7 and 10 as a swing round.
Round 10 as a swing round, and I had round 10 as a swing round.
Right.
And I had round 12 as a swing round.
Yeah, because
there was it was a really hard fight to score. the 2 knockdowns, I had it. If you include including the 2 knockdowns, I had it 112, 114 for Bohachuk.
Mm-hmm.
Flip it. The second knockdown, I truly feel like Ortiz came back and tied that round up.
Yeah, I still don't know how to score rounds when that happens.
I am someone, I truly do believe that you can get knocked down, you can come back and tie a round. And so neither of us truly know how to score that. He went to go to Google. I said,
Don't go to Google.
You can't go to Google. Google doesn't know. But I scored it 9-9 because I feel like, well, if he
and still had Bohachuk by 2 points.
No. If
you were to change
if that eighth round is a draw, if that eighth round is a tied round, then I have to fight 113, a draw.
Which one of the judges did have.
Yeah.
But I think they had it 13-13 because they had it 7-5 Ortiz and took off the 2 points from the knockdown. And you, instead of 115, 113, 113, 113.
Yeah. So really hard fight to score. It was a really good fight, like fun fight to
Probably
watch.
The fight of the year, if not at the very least the candidate.
I refer to you for those things.
Yeah. Well, seems like Fury, Usyk, Ford, Klomatov, and this fight, probably some of the leading candidates.
It's got to be Usyk. Fury.
That's a more significant fight. Yeah. But action for action
was good.
Good. Here's the thing for Bohachuk too. Manny Robles very upset in the post fight. I understand for Bohachuk, his team, and his fans, and if you're not his fan, you just scored the fight for him. I understand some of the outrage because he's fighting in America. He's fighting in Ortiz's backyard, and every round is basically competitive, except one guy got 2 knockdowns. Typically, logic would dictate that that's the guy who won the fight. When almost every round is close and one guy got 2 knockdowns, he should probably win. I still wound up with Ortiz just ecking it out. Wouldn't have had an issue if Bohachuk would have got it.
Do you also feel like you were judging the rounds the way you felt the judges were going to judge the round?
That the one round where I did that a little bit was the 10th.
Yeah.
Because I felt like Bohachuk actually won 2 out of 3 minutes in that round.
Yeah.
But Ortiz was very flashy in the final minute.
Yeah.
And he hit him with a good couple combinations. And right at the last 10 seconds, he hit him with some shots. And I thought, Bohachuk, you probably just got that round stolen from you.
Yeah.
And I scored it that way. Yeah.
Ortiz had a big 11th round.
Where he hurt him because he finally caught him in between punches.
And he didn't have the gas to get him out of there. He didn't have the gas to start separating himself.
Right.
And that's what you always have to do. You always got to separate yourself. And no matter who you're in the ring with, no matter what's going on.
Like Crawford did with Madrimov in the 11th and 12th.
You got to separate yourself. You know what I mean? And I felt like that 11th round really did show us who Virgil Ortiz is at the moment. Virgil Ortiz is still growing at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Still has a lot to do.
His first title fight.
Still got a lot to do.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have been wanting to see him in the ring with some big names, primarily Terence Crawford since he moved up to 154, Tim Tszyu. And, of course, we've been talking about the fight with Boots in his for forever.
Yeah, that one's in the oven. It's marinating.
Oh, yeah. That one's definitely in the oven.
Yeah.
But the kid got some work to do.
Yes. You're better served to speak on that.
I think he's got some work to do. He just was inconsistent. And again, this is what I know. I know when you are inconsistent.
Not with his work rate. He threw a lot of punches every round.
Yeah. There were some rounds that he clearly took off.
Right.
The early rounds that I had him losing, round 4, he just didn't throw anything. Y'all go back and watch if you want to.
Yeah,
and I had him lose 5, 6, 7. I had him lose round 7. I felt like he just didn't do enough. And I thought that, that was a close round too. And that was a close round, but I just had Bohachuk outlanding Ortiz. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I feel like he's got to get more consistent. And I think everything kind of revolves around his conditioning. The other thing is he punches with power, with just
every time.
Every punch.
Every time.
With just about every punch. Even when he was on his back foot, he had some pop on the jab. And I'm not saying you're not supposed to have pop in your jab, but how about flicking it out there and just touching your guy? You know what I mean? Like everything that he throws, what I'm saying is he's clinching and he's throwing with everything, and that's going to wear him down. You get in the ring with the likes of a Terence Crawford or even Tim Tszyu. These guys
they change the speed.
They change the speed. Yeah. They know how to pace themselves, and you'll find yourself literally in the deep end in the 10th, 11th, 12th round because these guys durable, know how to make you miss. And we already know when you swing and miss, that's worse than actually hitting. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm clutching, swinging hard, and I'm missing. That's double. You know what I mean? So he's got to get his conditioning in order. And beyond that, just make these fights make it a little cleaner. How does he make it cleaner? I'm really not sure. I want to.
He's got a great jab. Should he? You know, I mean, he used it effectively in this fight.
He did. Are you calling it great? Let's call it
a really good jab.
Let's call it.
You gotta prove. Thank you. No, you're right. You got a very good.
He's got a good jab. He does. He does have a good jab. But yeah, I'm not sure what it looks like for him moving forward. I just think that he certainly can't leave himself on line. There were a number of rounds where Bohachuk had his way with his jab.
Yeah.
And had his way with the straight right hand right down the middle. And it was like, damn, like Kenny Porter, like you see the punch coming, slip the punch, So I think that, he's just got some work to do.
Yeah.
And hopefully when those big fights come around, man, it'll be perfect timing for him to have had the experiences and he'll be ready for them.
One thing I got to give him an outstanding marks for is his ability to return fire when he gets hurt.
Yeah.
He got up off of both knockdowns, throwing heat. That endears him to his fan base. That's a big reason why they like Vergil Ortiz.
Mm-hmm.
But in the Mean Machine, Kaviaska's fight, he would get hurt, get up the next round, drop him.
Yeah.
He would get dropped by Bohachuk and finish the round stronger than Bohachuk.
Uh-huh.
You got that sells tickets. That endears you to your audience.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you're Manny and you're Bohachuk, and you're mad that you didn't get the decision, you got to look at, I dropped him and then
didn't follow up.
And then he came at me. I didn't push him back. I feel like if anything, when we're looking at a 113, that's if you score one round a draw, that knockdown round. If you scored at a draw, there's other ways you could see Ortiz winning the fight. I get it. It's probably better for the sport that Ortiz wins. But
that's the part that's like, you don't even want to feed into that, right? Oh, but it is what it is. You're right. No, you're right.
I gotta say that out loud.
Yeah.
But no, overall, man, I didn't see that coming. That was a fight that kept me interested the entire way. Yeah, that's always going on.
I'm sorry. It was one more thing I think I wanted to touch on with Ortiz, but while I can't remember it at this moment,
okay.
But let's go ahead and if he were to fight Crawford, what do you think about that? I'll lead on. I think, look, obviously Crawford's the favorite, but Crawford is, and I'm gonna turn this dang phone off too while we do this. But
no, just do that.
Just do that. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm already committed. So, but Crawford is still top 3 pound for pound. Vergil, if he fights like that, is gonna allow Terrence to do what he does best that Madrimov didn't give him too many opportunities to do, and that's counterpunch, punctuate the exchanges. He's the best at punctuating the exchange, which is another way of kind of saying he's a great counterpuncher, right? But because he lands the last shot in the exchange.
Yeah.
If Ortiz is gonna throw at Crawford, at some point you would think Crawford will catch him with something he doesn't see coming.
Yeah.
Maybe finish him. But Crawford's almost 37.
Yeah.
Ortiz is now I remember what I was gonna say about the belts up in the air. Where they say, well, you would think, think Bohachuk because benefit of that. Look, it's an interim title. This isn't an undisputed champion with 20 title defense. This isn't Bernard Hopkins, Jermaine Taylor. Those belts are hanging in the air once the bell rings. I don't do this benefit of the doubt to the champion stuff. It's kind of a myth. But anyways, back to Crawford. I think that, if Ortiz doesn't make adjustments and continues to just throw heat, Crawford could counterpunch him. But here's the thing. He's at the age in your mid-20s in any sport where if you're doing it right, you're getting better every fight. Mm-hmm. So the Vergil Ortiz we just saw Saturday night is probably not going to be the Vergil Ortiz that would get in the ring with Crawford. You're going to see at least a slightly improved version.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%.
And just his youth, his energy, and firepower makes it a tough night for even Crawford. But I'd favor Crawford to win the fight right now.
Crawford to win the fight. Vergil Ortiz is throwing heat with every hand, every punch.
Right.
The thing for me is Terrence has to be on his toes. He's always got to be ready. I feel like those days of not being ready for his opponents are long behind him We've seen the days of what's that Kavanask, the
Mean Machine, Kaviaskis,
even Gambo. There were quite a few fighters that challenged Crawford for the first 4 or 5 rounds before he started to pull off. And I always felt like that was just because of the level of opponent, but I also
Shawn Porter even gave him a good fight beyond the early.
And I was gonna say, and I was gonna say to that point, in retrospect, it was just immaturity. He had to mature and learn how to keep. This is the level that I fight at, and I'm not going to fight at any other level but the highest level. So I think if anything, you get styles make fights. It's a really good fight between Ortiz and Crawford. I got Crawford winning that fight. I am concerned that there's a sweeping shot that could catch him.
That could catch Crawford.
But Crawford's always been a master at distance.
Mm-hmm.
2 guys that I've seen first up, close and personal, do it: Terrence Crawford and Shakur Stevenson. I've never seen anybody control the range like those guys. Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? And also Tank Davis. But I know Tank's secret. so I'm not gonna give that away. But those 3 guys in this game right now, those guys are masters of the distance. And I think that's, remember I said that when Bohachuk and Ortiz were fighting, I said right here, this is where Ortiz struggles.
You said that mid longish range.
He's got to be right here in order for him to be effective.
Right.
And that's Terrence Crawford's bread and butter.
He's got to navigate landmines to get from here to here. And that's counterpunching landmines.
That's some landmines right there. So I think that maybe we see that fight next. I know.
What about Tim Tszyu? Does he beat Tim Tszyu?
I like a fight with Tim Tszyu.
Yeah, well,
I know we all were expecting that to happen. He's who doesn't. I like a fight with Tim Tszyu, man. I think that's a little bit closer to 50-50 to me.
It is,
and the reason why I say that is because again, like Terrence Crawford's the full package. There's the speed, there's the power, there's the quickness, there's the ability to use his feet, control the range and the distance, the ability to counterpunch, the ability to fight back foot, front foot. The list goes on. He can do it all. Tim is the kind of fighter who kind of has to find his timing and his rhythm, and it takes him a couple rounds. He's
not as active as Virgil.
Yeah,
he's more like a Canelo, like a Tank, super accurate. Places the shots super accurately, great, really, really explosive too, but he's not going to throw 50, 60, 70, 80 punches around too often. That's Virgil.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, when somebody's throwing that amount of punches in a round and you're allowing that guy to get going.
Right.
And then it's like, once you finally start to get going, are you broken down? Are you, is your eye a little, is there something going on? Are you able to actually now get going and create and control this fight? So I think that ultimately Tszyu versus Ortiz is a matter of who can control the fight. It's
a real 50-50 fight.
Yeah.
We say that about some fights, but that's
realistically,
it really is 50-50.
Yeah. We didn't know this was 50-50.
Yeah, no. But it's tough to pick because Ortiz has a better jab than Tim Tszyu. He throws more punches than Tim Tszyu, but Tim Tszyu is a little more savvy than he is. He's a little older too, and I think he has a little bit better IQ right now in their career. That right hand pull he does, he pulls, and he finds that right hand is beautiful. It looked like he was going to stop Fundora with it until that gash happened.
Yeah.
So it is truly 50-50. Timing's everything. Let's say they fight next.
Yeah.
I might make it 52-48 for Tszyu. I think he's a little more savvy right now. He's a couple years older, and he's able to pull counter a little bit with that. He's not super slick, but then again, Ortiz has the better jab. He throws more punches. He's very explosive himself.
Yeah.
Tim Tszyu's explosive too, though.
The fight's 50.
It is. It is. It is.
I got 50-50. It's 50-50 fight.
Might be hard for Tszyu to get a decision, kind of like Bohachuk, fighting this kid in America where he's so active and the crowd's going to be behind him.
Yeah.
He's going to have some separation.
Last one for me is 154 becoming the new 147.
It is. All we need is Ennis to move up, and then it truly is the best division in boxing.
What do you think he's gonna do? Unify and then
Ennis? I guess we are to believe what him and Eddie say, which is we want to unify. We want to kind of make our point at 47, and then we'll go to 54. That's a good game plan unless you get an opportunity. Yeah. Then I think you jump at 54. Yeah. You got to do it. But if you don't get a phone call from Virgil Ortiz, you don't get a phone call from Terrence Crawford, you don't get a phone call from Fedora, you don't get a phone call from Spence, you don't get a phone call from Tim Tszyu, then handle your business at 47, keep it busy, and get those belts.
Very good. Well, hey, man, thank you for hanging out with me tonight.
Thank you.
Let's get our families where they need
I'm taking those lobster tails home. He has some leftover lobster tails. He thought he could get away with keeping all of them, but Kenny Porter had my back and
almost ate him today.
Yeah. So
I appreciate you, man.
Listen,
y'all. This is the PorterWay. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and let us know if you want to see a little bit more of this.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, let us know.